And
I'm not so sure of the Late Late. And I would have felt this is not a reflection on either Ryan Tubridy or Paddy Keelty, because I think that in their separate ways they both performed very well.
yeah.
But it's gone on a long time, Linda.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. And I know people say that in Gabo's day we all watched it, but there was nothing else to watch.
Absolutely. It was a totally different world.
Hi, I'm Linda Martin, and our podcast Dog Almighty is brought to you by Tesco. So, for a happy and healthy pet, shop online or in store at the Tesco Pet Shop. Today on Dog Almighty, I'm going to be talking to Anne Doyle, a fantastic woman. I love her to bits. So we'll be talking about a ghost in her house, her love of cats, and her opinion on the Late Late Show. Now, today, listeners and viewers, of course, we've got someone whose influence spans the broadcasting world, journalism and TV history. Beyond the news desk, this woman has become an icon to many and an influential figure in the media world. We're in for a treat today because it could only be Anne Doyle. And you are so welcome, and thank you for coming in. And I know you're not so well.
I'm perfectly well. I've just got the rotten dose of cold that everybody's had over Christmas. And to miss an introduction like that, you lie so fluently. I would have walked to here.
Tell me this, how did you get into broadcasting?
Chance my arm. I replied at the suggestion of a friend to an ad in, I think it must have been the Irish Press or the Evening Press.
Yeah.
We'd be going back a while now. The Evening Press. And I just kept getting called back for more interviews. And each time, Linda, when something becomes difficult, you sometimes lose track of whether or not you want it. So every time I was brought back and it became more difficult, and I was more surprised, quite frankly, it didn't occur to me not to keep going. And then, to my astonishment, I finally got the job. And then I thought, oh God, I don't know if I want this at all. It was too late then. But I think, against myself, as far as I'm aware, I am certainly the last person who went directly into news from an ad in a paper. Now, that may not have been anything to do with me, but I think they gave up after that and recruited, in terms of news, more people who were already working in the newsroom or in broadcasting, which is not a bad idea.
Yeah, you see, but you set the standard.
I said for pure terror.
No, it was just...
I know. I mean, I'm telling you, I had never broadcast a line in my life. I'd done a lot of debating and public speaking when I was not so much a student, actually, when I was a schoolgirl. And I think, I foolishly thought that this was going to be some help. Or my pal who encouraged me said to me, actually, you love that, Anne. And I always liked to read. And I also foolishly thought that would make it much easier. In the long term, reading a lot does help because you learn a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I was horridly ill prepared.
But you fell into it instantly.
I'd given up my good job in the civil service.
Oh, Lord.
You know, the cats had to eat.
Yeah. What did you study at uni?
History and English.
Oh, right, okay. All right.
I wouldn't say that I was the most illustrious of scholars. I was a terrible dosser, and I was very, very lucky to get out the other end. I really do. I had a boyfriend, quite a lot of students from Belfast and from the Six Counties generally in Dublin, and they had the advantage of having A-levels behind them. And that did, in those days, not saying it's the case now, give people much more of an idea of how to study in the way that you were required for university. I thought, rattle off a few things, you know. So I would have to say, if it were not for that boyfriend, I don't think yours truly would have come out the other. He knew how to study. And I always got better marks than him.
Excellent, excellent. Well,
No, but I mean, he actually was the one with all the notes, and he, the exam system can be a little unjust because he definitely knew his stuff far more than I did.
yeah, but
I was a better chancer.
no, I would say that you were better able to sort out the exam questions. Because I know people that are exceptionally intelligent. They don't do well in exams. They have to resit and do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Whereas other people, they seem to get what the questions are about and they answer them in the right way.
That's a good point. And if you get tied up in a question, that's fatal. Sometimes because you're stuck, more likely because it's the one that you know really well, which you can get completely then overwrite that, and then the time is gone.
So tell me this, you're suddenly a newsreader in RTE and it was instant fame. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and there you were sitting, with the hands like this and the eyebrows. Did you perfect that eyebrow thing at home?
No, I always lifted my eyebrow.
And there was a rumour going round one time that you were going to cut your fringe.
It was occasionally used as a threat, and sometimes I grew it because I was fed up with people complaining. It's a habit.
Yeah,
I fringe is so long now that nobody sees it, but I can now lift my eyebrows, and no, I never practiced.
Yeah, okay. Where did you live when you first came to Dublin?
Very first place, Mount Street.
And was that a bedsit or an apartment with other people?
We went, coming from boarding school, three of us came to what was at that stage quite common. In Mount Street there were three hostels run usually by religious orders. The one I stayed in was run by a French order, and there was only one nun you ever saw. It was really run by lay people. So it was a kind of a halfway house between boarding school and, getting a flat or a bedsitter. And the plan was that after Christmas we would get a bedsitter, but my friends' parents were much more clued in and realised that it might be no harm for us to remain on there. And I wasn't all that clued in, so I was asked to leave after Christmas. So I was gone to bedsitter land.
Okay, I didn't actually know you'd been at boarding school.
Oh yeah.
Where
I
was
was
that?
very good about being asked to leave. I mean, I just came in late at night, and
Yeah.
they, that one nun that we used to meet suggested that perhaps that environment was not for me.
Okay.
But she made it quite clear it wasn't coming back.
Yeah, all right, I get you. Where was your boarding school?
Gorey, Loretto in Gorey.
Okay. And did you enjoy that?
I managed it far better than I would have expected. I would certainly say I was not somebody who was unhappy in boarding school, but some people were. And it went well for me, but I would still much prefer it not to have been there.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know
The
people.
Loretto nuns are quite kindly.
Oh, well, that made a difference. It was warm, you'd hot water, you'd good food. No.
Yeah, the food wouldn't have been marvellous.
All right.
The hot water you might sometimes have had to crack the ice on. The radiators are very tall, very old, and very cold.
Oh, God.
It was tough stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, it sounds
But then
like it.
again, I mean, I was growing up the youngest of seven, in a labourer's cottage. That wasn't exactly, luxurious.
No.
So it wasn't a major shock to me.
Yeah, seems
The food was, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Because in those days, people, families like us grew our own vegetables, etc. So, and my mother baked bread every day.
Yeah.
And so while our food might not have been very fancy, it was very good.
Yeah. I think we were all the same.
Yeah,
thinking
it
about
was kind of good, hearty, healthy food.
Absolutely.
So that came as a bit of a shock.
So tell me this, when do you first recall a dog or a cat or something in your house?
Oh, the man who dominated our house for about 17 years, Bonzo. So when Bonzo arrived, I think I was about 7, and he was very tiny. I know he fitted into the palm of my hand, and the palm of my hand wouldn't have been very large.
No. Did he wander in, or did you buy him, or
No,
what?
well, he was procured. It was
Okay.
in the era where somebody had a pup, or everybody had 24 pups, and people took
Yes,
pup.
of course.
And
of
we
course.
didn't have a dog at that stage. And curiously enough, my aunt, who lived nearby, always had Cocker Spaniels. She had lovely black ones. Quite a lot of the black ones come from Wexford. A lot there's
Okay.
breed them. And there were always dogs around. For some reason, we didn't have a dog at that stage, perhaps an old dog that had died.
Yeah, possibly.
So Bonzo arrived, and he was fabulous. He was a sort of cream with brown patches, more or less a terrier,
Yeah.
with a great personality. And he ruled the roost.
I could imagine.
He lived to be quite elderly.
Yeah.
And, my abiding memory in latter years, when we were growing up, you were sitting round the fire, and Bonzo, this can happen any of us. He got a little more cantankerous as he got older. And so he'd be sitting there at the fire as well. But if you wanted to, you wouldn't jump up without warning, because he would be quite happy to give you a little.
Oh, he was generous with his teeth, was he?
Oh, yeah, well, he was a little nipped. It wouldn't do you any harm,
yeah.
Just as well none of us went in for the lovely legs competition. So you went through the motions of, now Bonzo, think I got up for a while now. I mean, it's nonsense, like. And if he was in good humour, he'd have,
Yeah.
But if he was feeling narky, or if you didn't, maybe you were a little precipitate, then there.
Yeah. Was Bonzo allowed upstairs on the bed?
Bonzo was everywhere.
Ah, right. Okay.
Was that kind of. But he wouldn't have been Oh, he slept in the shed, though.
Oh, did he? He
Oh,
wasn't-
God, yeah. Yeah, I've country ways. He wasn't lounging around on beds, I can tell you. I mean, we were a big family. We were hardly.
There wouldn't have been room.
We weren't lounging around on beds ourselves.
There wouldn't have been room.
And I had a beautiful cat. He had a half ear, not lost in battle. He was just born that way.
Okay.
And a turned back ear. And he was a great ratter. He was Mr. Kavanagh.
Okay.
I loved.
Now, is this in your parents' house, or this when you came to Dublin?
No, this was my parents' house. This
Okay.
was when I was a child.
Yeah. Okay.
And I loved that cat
Yeah.
with a passion.
Yeah. So, what cats have you had since then? Because when I think of Anne Doyle, I think of I'm not thinking about the news. I'm thinking about your love of animals, and there were cats.
I have had my last cat, unfortunately, having developed rather bad asthma, my last cat was Lotto. I have her ashes. I lived with the asthma, even if she were to see me down. But she was a tiny little cat. I found her, and I, fed her with an eyedropper. And she never really grew to any great size.
Okay.
But she certainly matured, and she lived to be nearly 19.
Wow. Oh, that's a great age.
Yeah, and she had no concept of being a cat.
All right.
She didn't like cats. I had other cats. She looked at them with scorn because she didn't get reared by cats.
Yeah. You were the.
I was kind of her helper.
Yeah. You were the implant, really,
Yes.
weren't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but she, my older cats, I thought, oh my God, when I moved at one stage, I've got to move her with me. There'll be murder. No, she just ignored them
All
completely.
right. Yeah, that's good.
And you couldn't help, and she was a good bit younger.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, is she thinking, I'll outlive you guys?
Possibly.
And
You
she
never
did.
know.
Yeah,
You never know.
they had 9 lives
You
as
never
well,
know.
but
Now, here's another thing that intrigues me, and I don't know where you live at the moment, but you've said that in the basement you've seen a ghost.
I have indeed.
Well, come on then, tell us.
Well, that's a long time ago now. It was when we moved into the house first. It must be heading for 20 years ago now. And yes, there was a small, slight, grey-haired, very sort of faded-looking lady, if I could describe someone that way. No, I don't mean see-through, but she was, she dressed in grey. She had grey hair and a bun, and she flitted around the basement. I saw her first. It was over Christmas, and I actually said to myself, maybe I've overdone the cherry. But I saw her, and a couple of other people in the house saw her at the time over that Christmas. And then after a period of about 2 to 3 months, I suppose, she was there less often, and then she just wasn't there anymore.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, but I was very windy going down to the basement at night for a long time.
Yeah, I can
Yeah, I
understand
mean,
that.
because, she didn't strike me with abject terror. I didn't feel, oh my God, I'm going to
Yeah.
pass out when I see her. But at the same time, I didn't want to walk down the back stairs and see her flitting about the place.
Yeah.
But she never bothered with me.
Yeah. So she was small, and people in those days,
Yeah, she
years and
was
years ago,
quite tiny,
were quite
really.
small. Do you think you could have touched her and felt something?
Never thought of it.
Yeah,
You see, I
okay.
was a bit windy. I wonder now. But she seemed to put a distance. Or maybe that was my fear.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me.
Okay.
Or to address her.
Yeah, I wonder what would have happened.
Yeah.
Because you've described her sort of flitting around a
Yeah,
small area.
yeah.
Could she have been a maid in the house? Maybe that was the kitchen or the scullery or something like that.
It must have been something like that. I often wondered why A, she'd stayed there, and B, why she had gone. I wondered if she was happy to go, because it occurred to me that if she was a maid in the basement, I haven't the slightest doubt that in her era, if I had been living there, I would have been a maid in the basement as well, and probably
me as well.
a highly inefficient one, but I would have been. That's where I would have been.
Yeah, well, I definitely would have been in the basement, not as a cook, I might add.
No, likewise, there was a cook.
Tell me this,
actually.
what prompted you to do the book about ghost stories? Was it her?
Well, she was kind of in my mind, and I've always had an interest in ghost stories. And then I met that wonderful man, Sean Hayes, who was with Gill at the time, and he and I got along very well. And he sort of eased me along towards the idea. We were talking about this and that, and he's just a lovely, lovely, warm, helpful man. And he said, "Why don't you try a book on ghost stories?" And look, one of those days where you've been saying, "Oh, I don't know," and whatever, and then you think, look, go for it. Sometimes in life you do, and what the hell? It's not going to be the end of the world one way or the other. Well, it will when I'm a ghost. But you know what I mean?
Would you like to come back?
No.
No, okay, all right.
Well, it'd depend, I suppose, on who I was coming back for.
Well, you could come back as a dog and I'll rescue you.
Oh, that's fair
And then, you
enough.
see, you'd be pampered for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but I mightn't
No.
be so lucky as to
No.
be rescued by... I said to you, I spent, for a woman that doesn't have a dog of her own, I spent over Christmas, in a house where there would have been in and around 30 dogs.
And I think I'm bad, oh Lord save us.
Every size and shape. Huge, big, there's a Russian Shepherd, and there were little fellas and little woolly lads jumping around the place.
Is this a rescue centre you were staying at?
No, it's, well, first of all, it's a family home.
Right.
Out in Ratoath. My friend Gail has, it's Bridal House Farm, and she started kenneling dogs. Now, she always had about 5 of her own anyway.
Right.
And you would understand very well, needless to say, a couple of rescued dogs
Yeah.
are now added to because
They come in.
something happened and you
can't say
couldn't get
no.
a home and
Yeah.
whatever. But then she does it. She kennels dogs as well, and day and whatever. So there were dogs, but I don't know, she's very good with them. But you know all about that. But there were dogs sitting up in little dog beds, and there was.
So she kennels dogs, but in the house, they're all inside.
They were inside, but they'd be out. There's quite a lot of space around the
Yeah,
house, so
yeah.
they'd be out quite a lot. And she's out for the crack of dawn with them and all of that.
Oh,
well, you know, it's bloody hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I got a blast of dogs for Christmas.
I'd say you did.
We got on very well.
I'm sure of that because I just knew your attitude, your disposition, and it's calm. And animals love that. And you're very definite as well. So they pick up on all sorts of
And
things.
Gail is like that, actually. She's a very calm person. And that's the trick, is it? Is that really Our calmness seems
Yes,
to
I think so.
reach the
Yes,
animals.
because I know hyper people, as I'm sure you do, and the dogs tend not to go to them. Whereas somebody who's very calm and just sort of relaxes and lets them be, they tend to sort of congregate around them. So it must be. It
And
must
then
be.
there is this sweet and contrary nature of cats who will find the one person in the room who is terrified. You know the way some people are
Yes.
actually terrified of cats?
Yes.
And they will find them.
Absolutely. But cats are cats.
Yeah.
I've had them in the past.
Yeah.
I don't have them now because the set of dogs that I have at the moment would definitely do damage to them.
Yeah.
But in the past I had them. They lived long lives. They were spoiled rotten like everything else. But they lived in the garage. But there was a heater in the garage, you see, the boiler in the garage. So that kept them nice and snug. And then all I did was
Yeah, I
feed them.
might come back as one of your cats.
Yeah.
The garage with the heat.
Yeah, but you're right. They used to bring the rats home because where I live, there's water. And
My old cat, my great cat, Mr. Kavanagh, that I had when I was a small child, he was a superb ratter, and he would line them up. He would line them, like he could bring up 3 or 4 rats beside the bed.
oh, Jesus, there you are, Mammy. There's a little gift
Yeah,
for you.
my mother was a bit conflicted. On the one hand, he was a great ratter.
Yes.
That was a very useful thing.
Yes.
On the other hand, 3 or 4 dead rats beside the bed, not all that great a thing.
not all that great.
But you can't have it every which way.
No, you can't. And you know something? I have to give you credit for one thing. Every time I'm doing something for the animal charities, Anne Doyle gets a call. And Anne Doyle turns up.
Ah, but you listen, I'm delighted to get out.
Because you came along to the launch of the Dublin Dog Hub with Louis and
Yeah.
Ian McKellen and all of those people. And that was a great day. Fabulous day.
Yeah, and I mean, nobody works like you work.
But
Nobody puts in the work, nobody puts in the passion, nobody puts in the dedication. It's very easy for us to rock up to the odd thing. I don't know how you do it. If I had a hat, I'd take it off, Jill.
Yeah, because it is my passion. I know my
but that's
business
the whole
is show
point.
business, and that's how I earn my money. I should be open, I think, this month. I should be.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely, because we need it so much, Anne. Oh, Jesus, we need it. There's dogs by the thousand all over Ireland.
I saw some of the pictures in the papers in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
There was a shot. These were the rescued.
Yes.
But there was a heartbreaking shot, even though you knew that they were rescued. It was a little dachshund with a puppy on her back. Did you see that?
Yes, my lovely horse have them.
And
They
I then
rescued.
saw, somewhere else, I saw 6 very young puppies who hadn't made you you get flogged on the Christmas
Oh, yes,
market.
yes.
And so they were just thrown somewhere.
that.
Why do people continue to do it?
People,
It's not as if they're not told and
No.
advised and reminded.
we have to get into the kids' heads. The adults at this stage, I'm sort of thinking, okay, we've got some sensible people, we've got stupid people as well, but we got to get it into the kids' heads that it's not okay to buy from a puppy farm, that it's not okay to just dump animals and not look after them properly, and that, I believe, is the secret. So when they grow up, they have a different mantra, and they just do different things differently. Because Ireland, as you know, 50 years ago, dogs were in the barn, and they did the sheep and the cattle and everything. But these days, society has their dogs inside, and an awful lot of them are coming from those horrendous puppy farms. So government, if you're watching this podcast, government, do something for God's sake. But anyway, getting away from dogs, tell me, when you were broadcasting news, what was the funniest thing you had to report on?
But news is a peculiar place. There's not an awful lot that's funny, and the things that make you giggle are often not funny at all. It's just a combination of maybe something somebody says to you, and that you're in a giddy kind of a frame of mind, which is even worse because then if you do manage to, if you don't quite pull yourself together and you are caught kind of sniggering or snorting, you don't even have a great story. Like if it's something very funny, at least you can turn around and say, well, look what happened to me. But it's just a dangerous spirit of giddiness is usually the thing that makes people burst out laughing.
Were you ever caught doing something you shouldn't? On camera, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like the BBC presenter who...
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and there's no harm in that at all because they weren't doing it as regards up you because it was a news bulletin or anything like that. But have you ever done anything?
I have been extraordinarily lucky. because I have done so many things that frightens me even to think about it, and used such shocking language. And I mean, yeah, I think part of that is, I know there are people who are very good and never do it. They're very professional. But I think for a lot of us who are maybe just not, well, maybe we're more a little, maybe a little more anxious.
Yeah, yeah.
It's part of the way of, yeah, you know, and you are talking to other people. There are other people around. There's the whatever. And then, so,
Something goes wrong.
yeah,
But I mean, I know you, and I know what your language is like.
shocking.
Yeah, but that's okay. We're Irish. We tend to be like that. But I mean,
I quite regularly try. It's a habit I don't like in myself. I have tried over the years quite regularly, and it's been for quite a few years now, and I have failed abysmally.
yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it would matter to
I've
you.
come to embrace the failure now. What's the point?
Yeah, it wouldn't matter if the Pope was beside you. I still think you'd be effing and blind, and that's the way you are. And
Unlikely.
people.
I hope he wouldn't join in.
Well, you never know. You never know. Did you ever have your face on a stamp?
Yes.
Have you got them? Did you keep a set of them or a few of them?
My good friend, a sensible woman, Gabriel Burke, who regrettably is no longer with us, but she always had an interest in stamps. And
Okay.
She also knew that I would be inept. So she went hot foot to the GPO wherever you go when stamps are issued.
Yeah.
In fact, I think you actually order them. And she went and got several sheets of them.
Yeah.
Because she said to me, "You'll never get them, Anne. I know you'll never get them." And she was right. And she got me some to send home and to my brothers and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And a few that I kept for myself and some for her. And that's the only reason I have them.
Yeah. Now, here's another question for you.
It's a strange kind of experience.
I have a pain in my butt with people saying, "You don't have children?" No. Are you married? No. Do you get those questions?
Yeah.
And what do you say? F off, mind your own business?
Linda, would I?
But you do get that, do you?
Yeah, well, I suppose now, at this stage of my life, I would still get, for example, somebody would say to me, "Well, it's different for you. You know, your life is different." This is not necessarily, by the way, in a complimentary way. You wouldn't understand, you don't have children. I don't know quite what it is that I don't understand. I don't know which aspects of life I have missed out on by not having children, but I never was interested in having children,
Same with me.
you know? And I have never been surprised at other people wanting to have children. There you go.
I've just finished Panto in Liberty Hall. And we had a photo session, a meet and greet at the end of every performance. So there was a woman came up and she must have had 7 children. So one of our smart arses says, "Is your surname Rotunda?" And she loved it. She thought it was fabulous. But no, I don't see the attraction. But I'm a good auntie. Are you a good auntie?
I'm a reasonable auntie, I
Yeah.
suppose. And I have, I quite enjoy, I enjoy the company of young people,
Yes.
generally.
Yeah.
Because they often seem to be so much more sensible than I am myself. So you can usually depend on them to get you home or whatever. So yeah, I enjoy that. I think it's not that I was ever touchy about it, because, for example, if somebody comes up and says to you, "Oh, why did you never have children?" They don't know, for example, whether you always wanted to have children.
Yes.
You could be somebody who had desperately wanted to have children. That is not.
No, it's not me.
It's not me.
No.
But it is a rather impertinent thing to ask, isn't it?
Yes, because you don't know the background. That person could have been
Yeah,
doing
I mean, it
all sorts
genuinely
of
could. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Could have spent years weeping into their lavender-scented pillow because they didn't have children.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think it's quite rude. I mean, I wouldn't be inclined to say to somebody, you know, as they regularly tell you about the shocking cost of school education, etc. I would be disinclined to say, "Well, why did you have 7 children?"
Correct.
I would think that was pretty rude. So I
Yeah.
would expect the same.
Yeah. Reciprocation. Yes, absolutely. You tell me this, and all the interviews you've done over the years, Who would you like to have on your list? The ultimate interview.
Done by them or by me?
No, you're interviewing somebody. Who do you think that would be?
Charlie Haughey.
Really? Okay, why?
Because he was a very interesting man who led a very interesting life, but also because it would be interesting to be properly prepared, because the most terrifying interview I ever did, and the one for which I was least prepared, so they went together, was when I was doing the 1 o'clock news on television, and I was on the 6-1 with, I think it must have been with Sean Dignan. It would have been with Sean at the time. And Charlie was coming in to be interviewed on radio. The radio was at 1 o'clock as well. Shane Kenny was doing the interview. And Shane would have been extremely well prepared. He would have known his stuff, and he would have also prepared very well. And at about, the 1 o'clock was a scramble anyway. It was a terrible scramble because crews were tied up with other things and whatever. And somebody came up and said to me, by the way, Anne, you're going to be interviewing Haughey on the 1 o'clock on TV. And I said, oh no, he's in with Shane Kenny for the radio, because the radio that radio programme at that time would have been very heavy hitting. And they said, no, you're going to get him as well. And I said, oh, Jesus, because I realised that apart from anything else, I was not remotely prepared for this. I remember Sean Dignan saying to me, don't worry. Sean was always quite calm, but there was a touch of the Mr. Mannering in Dad's Army, Smith was the one who used to say, don't worry, Mr. Mannering. And I thought, oh my God, I'm worried. I panicked. And Shane Kenny, I'll never forget it to him, had a huge list of questions, all kinds of stuff, none of which he needed. I haven't the slightest doubt, because it was all in his head. But he had it, and he ran off a copy of it. He came up and he gave it to me. And I'll never forget it to him. It was an act of the most extraordinary kindness. So I thought, well, if all fruits fail, I'm not going to do very well here. I'm kind of trying to beat my way down through the questions he has done. But look, I've got something.
Yeah. Did you ever meet him?
I did.
And you liked what you met?
I did, yeah. He was a very interesting man.
Yeah.
And he achieved a lot in Ireland too, you know.
Yeah. Courteous.
The charming.
Humorous?
I'd say he had a sardonic sense of humour, bit of irony there.
Yeah.
But he was Charlie, and there you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I got through that interview really thanks to Shane Kenny, and yeah, would I actually like to do it again, knowing a little bit more? No, probably not. Actually,
All right.
It was probably best as was.
Yeah. Okay. What was the best interview you ever did? Your favourite one from all over the years? With who?
Probably again a political one, I'd say. See, I wouldn't pick one out. There would be 2 or 3 political ones that I was well prepared for.
All right.
And that I knew about the subject. It would be invidious to pick out individual ones.
Okay.
But the Haughey one was like, I'll never forget the fright.
I tell you, it perked you up a good bit. I know that you can cope with most things. I know you don't get embarrassed easily, but don't feed the gondolas and you kiss Brendan O'Connor.
Sure, what's embarrassing about that?
It wasn't on the cheek.
No, but I think that was the arrangement, wasn't it? Sure, Brendan would be kissing all the girls.
Yeah. Here, tell me. Oh, I love Brendan.
He'd be very displeased.
He's a great pal of mine. I'd say he was thrilled with himself. But tell me this. Would you take part in a reality TV show like The Jungle or one of those things?
No.
None of them?
No.
No.
The
Good.
hardship.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because I don't even watch them.
No, nor I.
No.
But I know enough to know, people tell you, about, who ate a bowl of maggots last night or whatever. I'm sorry, I can't think of anything more
Yeah.
frightful. I cannot think of anything more, I don't
Horrendous.
care. Yeah.
No makeup or anything in the jungle. Jesus Christ, I'd die of fright
Think
if
of
I saw me.
the bites.
The bites, the spiders, everything. Yeah,
No,
no. I
I
couldn't
don't
cope.
understand how people do it. Good luck to them.
Yeah. Tell me this, when Ryan Tubridy left RTE, did you consider throwing your name into the hat with regards to taking over the Late Late Show? Because I think you would have been brilliant.
Oh.
And I think the Irish public would have loved you
Well,
there.
that's extremely kind of you, but I have to say the thought never crossed my
Never
mind.
crossed your mind?
No.
Okay.
That's a big beast.
Yeah. And
I'm not so sure of the Late Late, and I would have felt this. This is not a reflection on either Ryan Tubridy or Paddy Keelty, because I think that in their separate ways they both performed very well.
yeah.
But it's gone on a long time, Linda.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. And I know people say that in Gabo's day, we all watched it, but there was nothing else to watch.
Absolutely. It was a totally different world.
Totally. And he was brilliant and I loved him. But these days, you can turn your channel, you just switch along and there's chat
So there's
shows
absolutely
everywhere.
no question. You cannot compare like with like.
No, you can't.
Just not the case.
You can't. I just think that you would have been particularly good and very popular. I don't care what you say that you wouldn't, but you weren't the one travelling around the country like I was. And you were usually in somebody's house having a cup of tea before you did the gig that night. And the telly would be on and there was silence as everybody zoomed into that late.
Those days are gone, as you say, because there were so many ways of accessing entertainment, etc. That,
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that there is a place for a big piece. But look, whatever.
Yeah. Or even a midweek chat show. If you were offered that, would you take it on?
I'm not really very keen on chat shows.
Aren't you? Okay.
No, I rarely look at them. The odd time then I see one and they're really interesting people on and I think I should do this. Look at it a bit more. But no, television was television. It's over for
What
me.
do you watch?
Not much.
Yeah. Do you mean because you look at Netflix or what?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I read a bit.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Reading for sure.
Yeah.
Like what would you read? What are we talking about? Historical novels? Thrillers? Ghost stories?
A terrible weakness for thrillers.
Yeah.
I read nature books. I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I read travel. I'm reading now. I have it with me. The new book on Malcolm MacArthur.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fascinating. I would read folklore. I'd read a bit of history. None of this, by the way, amounts to a very academic person. It's a bit of a hodgepodge.
Yes.
Which I would read, but thrillers would be my weakness.
Yeah. Same here. Who's your favourite author?
In terms of a thriller?
Yeah.
I went through a phase of really liking the Icelandic readers in particular. That's that woman Sigurdardóttir and Scandinavian and Icelandic, but I've kind of done them now. I've got a bit bleaked out with them.
Frederick Forsyth, perchance?
Would, of course.
Yeah, love him. He's my favourite. And I believe he lived in Ireland at one stage.
You did?
Was that in Wicklow?
I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
I know he lived here.
Oh, I wish I'd known that. But I just think brilliant. And I reread them. I go back every few years. I go right through that list of books again. And I just think he's magic.
Well, when I started reading thrillers first, I was quite young, so I would have done the Agatha Christie's, the Dorothy Sayers, all those. But actually, I came upon a Dorothy Sayers the other day, picked it up, read about 10 pages, and thought, I really must get all the Dorothy Sayers again. It's so long ago.
Do you prefer a book to a Kindle?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, but here's the question. I love books. I love going into a bookshop and I like the smell and I love to see the cover and everything.
Yeah,
but if you go on holiday,
you
have to take the books.
Yeah,
with
no,
you, bring them back.
I get the handiness of it.
Yeah.
But I do like a book.
Yeah. Books are brilliant. I'm a voracious reader and I always have been. I can remember my grandparents reading to me, when I was a child, but I just love reading. Here, tell me this. Did you cook on Christmas Day?
Oh, God, no, thank heaven.
Your friend did all the cooking.
Yeah,
You didn't do anything?
No, that magnificent woman.
And fed the 30 dogs as well. Jesus.
Well, in fairness, her husband also rocked up.
Ah.
Yeah, and he's a good cook as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I was very appreciative.
I'd say you were. I would have been as well because I'm a rotten cook. I can't do it at all. Just
Yeah,
can't
I
do
was
it.
never really much good. And then having attempted a sort of domestic life that didn't work out, I just decided, I don't mean I made a big decision. I just thought, oh, to hell with this.
Yeah.
This didn't work very well. And then I just got out of the way of it.
Yeah, I think we all do.
I mean, it's I admire people who enjoy it. Not people who slave, but people who actually, some people really do enjoy it.
They do.
Enjoy trying different recipes, and I have a great collection of cookery books.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because I love reading them.
You're like me. I can't cook.
And I always look at the new cookery books when they come out. And there's a couple that I haven't seen in the shops yet, but that I intend to get.
All right.
That'll be just for... But
Jamie Oliver. He sort of throws things in, and that's a bit easier. Yeah. Do you like gardening?
no, I'm a hopeless person.
Have you got a garden?
Very small.
All right, okay. But you're hopeless at the garden, is it?
Yeah, useless.
So if a gardener comes in, does somebody come in?
No, you wouldn't need.
Ah,
No,
all
it's
right,
only a little
okay.
patch at the back,
Okay,
really.
okay.
The gardens of those houses along where where I
you live, yeah.
long before our time, they were sold. They were sold off. So there's an underground car park and
Yeah.
all that. So what would have been the original back area gardens are gone.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. But then that suits you anyway.
But I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Now, here's what we have to deal with. Your asthma or your allergies towards animals these days. And I hope Speedy's not doing anything to your
No.
nasal cavities as
Don't
we
worry.
speak. But can you get that sorted out?
I don't think so, but I am hopeful that it maybe will leave me before I leave it.
Yeah.
Because, for example, the household I was in recently, which was full of dogs and cats indeed, I was fine.
Yeah.
I was there for a couple of days and I was fine. I think the trick is, though, that you don't get covered in animal dander, or if you do, you wash your hands. You don't forget and rub your eyes.
Yes.
Because your eyes will come out like stalks.
Yes.
And then you start wheezing or whatever. But I certainly was absolutely fine. So I have bucked up hope that maybe
In the
if
future?
came, uninvited,
Yeah.
maybe it'll go.
I hope so, because there's a lot of cats missing out
Yeah,
on
I know.
being looked after by
I would
Anne.
have been in my 40s, I'd say, when that really developed.
Oh, okay.
So until my last cat expired in glorious old age, I just put up with it. But about 6 months later, I didn't have asthma anymore.
Yeah, okay.
So
it's definitely animals as opposed to dust.
it's animal dander.
Yeah, for sure. Here, tell me this. What's the funniest thing that's ever been written about you?
Oh my God. Probably at the stuff that's online at the moment. Somebody sent me a version of it last night. You know, where I'm supposed to have closed the central bank. Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Something to do with cryptocurrency. It's been around for a long time. But that I was being interviewed by Ryan Tubridy.
Okay.
And I inadvertently let slip that I had found this way of breaking the banks, and the central bank had to ring and stop the show because all the banks that would have been run on the banks or whatever didn't quite follow what, Anyway, I found the idea that I was a wizard in cryptocurrency. Actually, pretty stupid. But the only thing about it, Linda, is I suppose there is, because I read the one somebody sent me yesterday, and there is a link. So I would imagine that if anybody were foolish enough to believe this and clicked on the link, I presume when you click on the link, I'd click on the link, that is taking you a step further into getting some kind of details from you.
Oh, yeah, you could be right. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, it's not for the good. They're not doing this for the...
No.
I mean, I've been arrested on this. I've been, there are a number of other people. Micheál Martin, I think, has gone to the High Court over it. Oh, yeah.
That's ringing a bell somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, I am not alone, as they say, but I mean,
No.
I thought, sure, anyone would know me. Anyone who knows me would know the idea of making a fortune out of cryptocurrency. But then you see, somebody might just believe it. Too.
Are you good with money, Anne? And have you always been or not?
I'm not good with money,
You're not. Okay, so it burns a hole in your pocket then. Okay.
regrettably.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. All right. You mentioned travelling earlier on. Where's your next port of call?
I've been very remiss in the last year. Between one thing, there's been a lot going on, and I haven't really been able to travel for one reason or another. But I think before this lovely spring, I hope. But I'd like to go. I'd like to go to Marbella for the Easter
All right. Yeah, yeah,
parades.
yeah.
The week running up to Easter Sunday. The parades culminating, so they come from all directions around and the city, and the Good Friday one is the big one, and they're just amazing.
I know.
Fantastic to see. I'd like to go there.
Yeah, and you should. You
Well,
should.
we'll see.
Have you been to Turkey, Istanbul in particular?
No, I have not.
Oh, well, listen, that's one of my favourite cities in the whole world. I think you would love it. The culture, the museums,
kind
the
of
palaces.
liked the idea.
Oh, it's amazing. An amazing place. I've loved it. I've lived and I've worked there over the years and still keep friends there
And
also.
do you fly directly?
Yeah, you can fly direct and it's quite reasonable as well.
Right.
Honest to God. Anne, treat yourself. Treat yourself and go to Turkey, Istanbul in particular. It's just fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, we give it a whirl.
Who is the most famous person in your phone book?
Oh, Lord. Linda Martin?
No, give over.
Louis Walsh?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that would figure, yeah.
In a manner of speaking.
Yeah.
You take Louis?
Yeah, take Louis. Yeah. We had a great conversation with Johnny Logan earlier because he managed Johnny Logan as well, isn't he? And we were just talking, reminiscing, should we say. We went down memory lane. But when did you first meet Louis? Would you remember that?
I remember meeting him. I was with a couple of people whom he knew, and we were at, I think, it's a long, long time ago. I think we were at a concert.
Ah, okay.
And he came over and chatted and was very friendly and whatever. God, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Linda, everything's a long time ago.
I know that.
There's no point in saying that's a long time ago, you know.
But you do see him once a year at the Junkature judging. Am I right? Is that the right event?
The Westmeath Bachelor.
Oh, I was totally the wrong event. The
Westmeath Bachelor. Never to be forgotten.
I'd say it's great crack.
It's actually a great night.
Absolutely. Yeah. And where does it actually take place?
In the arts centre there. They have a lovely, I'm calling it the arts centre now. It probably has a grander name than that. But they have like a marvellous space where they've theatres and practice areas and a bar.
Oh, important. Very important.
Yeah. It's really, really, in Mullingar. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it the first year we went down. I thought, oh my God, this is posh,
Tell me this. If your cat was eaten out of a saucer, would you put something in the saucer and eat it yourself without washing it?
No, I don't think so.
If you had cats, would they be allowed on your bed?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I get that.
And they would lick you, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, there'd be no problem there.
No.
Don't know if I'd share the saucer.
All right, okay. You see, I would be feeding the dogs and then they'd be licking the spoon and I'd be licking it afterwards. But anyway, I'm immune to disease at this stage, I think. Just
Look at you. Picture of health.
Distemper and all the rest of those things bypass Linda because I'm so... I mean, look at her. She's a little dote.
She's like a little hot water bottle.
Yeah, she is actually.
Yeah.
I bought one of those recently. A hot water bottle. Now, believe it or not...
You have one already.
I know, but she stays downstairs. She has her bed in the kitchen. But I did actually bought a hot water bottle.
Very handy thing.
Absolutely. And I was out with one of my girlfriends recently on a very, very cold night and we were dressed up. So we had heels on, right?
Oh, heck.
See, I stayed in her house that night and by the time I got back, my feet were like stones. And there was the hot water bottle.
Oh, lovely.
And it was divine. Honest to God. Talk about being easily pleased. Did you brush your cats?
The long-haired ones.
Yes. And when the long-haired ones got old, did they stop preening themselves?
Oh God, yeah, it was hard
Yeah,
work.
that's right.
Yeah, I had one cat that was again a stray, of course, but she was really very long. There would have probably been a good bit of Persian
Yeah.
in her. She had
Yes,
she had a
yes.
huge coat, and she lived to be a very good age as well.
Yeah.
So you really had to kind of roll
Yeah,
up your
of course
sleeves
you
and
do.
do it because
Yeah.
the damn coats get matted
Oh,
very
they
quickly.
certainly do. Do you prefer a dog or a cat?
I would hope never to have to make that choice.
Yeah. Okay.
In
Well,
my life, I always had cats because it was possible. And because I worked very odd hours, I'm not a great believer in leaving a dog
agree.
too long on their own. And then, regrettably, when it came to a time in my life where I would have the time, I would love to have a dog, nature managed to screw that one up for me. But you never know.
No,
Nature
you
may
never know.
relent.
You never know. Are you a shopaholic?
No, don't like shops.
Do you have clothes in your wardrobe from the 70s? Are you a bit of a magpie? Do you keep things?
I keep things out of kind of laziness, Linda.
All right, okay.
I wouldn't dress it up as in, oh, you know, my collections. There are a lot of things that I just don't get round to sorting out.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's always as well, different for you, always svelte and gorgeous. It's always vital to have at least 4 different sizes of some kind of a garment that you can get into. One tends to fluctuate a little.
I've kept things. And I'm a shoe fanatic, so I have some shoes and boots and things like that from the 70s. And I mean, I don't know how we even walked in them, to be quite honest with you.
Well, I have shoes. I had a very bad shoe period. Yeah.
Yes.
Very, very serious. I'm happy to say that just went.
Yeah.
But I have shoes that, not if you gave me the winning lotto numbers, could I walk. I don't think I could walk down the stairs in them.
No. It's extraordinary because we
And
sailed around.
I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah. Oh, keep them. Keep them.
Yeah, but
They'll come back.
I know,
They
but
will.
I don't.
And they'll have to shoot you. You'll be here forever. Would you stop?
By the time they come back, I won't be able to put one foot in front of the other.
Oh, God, would you stop? What would you like to happen in later life? Would you like to end up in one of these, what's the right word for it? English actors tend to retire into actors' retirement homes. Now, would you like to think there's a place for the like of us? And whenever we don't know each other anymore, we could be all living together.
I think that the fundamental idea is a good one.
Yeah.
But you see, you just put in words like retirement home and a shiver goes up my spine. I bet it does yours too.
Absolutely. I hope they shoot me. I'm going to the vet. I'm going to go to the vet and get one of those injections. That's what I want. Here, tell me, let me take you back. If you were 16 again, what advice would you give yourself?
I suppose. But I would be giving the advice from the perspective of where I am now. Don't worry. Be happy.
And save your money.
See, I didn't even bother putting that in. But yeah, don't worry about things. Don't worry about that much about things at 16, but took a lot of things for granted. You take happiness for granted.
Take everything for
Take
granted.
everything for granted.
For sure.
But yeah, throughout life, if you could worry less, maybe enjoy the moment more.
Yeah.
All this might have come about if I had saved money.
Well, you never know. And are your parents still alive?
Oh no.
No, they've passed.
Long-
And
long ago.
brothers, sisters?
There were 7 of us. My parents died when I was in my 20s.
Oh, right, okay. And how many brothers and sisters have you got left?
I have 4 brothers living.
Okay. Oh, okay. Are you close?
Yeah, we're fond of each other, I think.
Yeah. Like, would you be talking on the phone every day to one of them at least?
Not every day,
No.
but regularly enough. We're a bit like elephants. We come together when we're wounded or to die. That doesn't mean we're not fond of each other, if you know what I mean.
Okay, so no, that sounds very typical, all right. Yeah, do you know, I love you to bits. I really do. And I think you're fantastic. I think you're a role model, a perfect role
heavens.
model for everybody. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come over
No,
here
thank you
today.
very much for having me
Because
here.
it's vitally important for us going forward with animal caring, animal, what should we say, looking after them, all of the things that we want to get out to people. And if they, and my philosophy is, if people actually see and hear somebody like Anne Doyle talking about, take care of your animals, be kind to them because it costs nothing to be kind, well, it might put something in their head that they say, well, if it's good enough for her, it's good enough for me.
If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for the rest of us.
No, I don't know.
Thank you
you
very
so
much.
much, Anne.
Thanks for having me here.
Dog Almighty is brought to you by Tesco. So for a happy and a healthy pet, shop online or in-store at the Tesco Pet Shop for all your furry friends' needs. So if you've been listening to Dog Almighty, give us a follow or a 5-star review.